Good morning, Mr. Hyde.
Good morning, Counsel.
I want to start off by talking a little bit about yourself. You are Avery Bancroft's executive assistant, correct?
Yes, I am Ava's executive assistant.
And as your job entails, you do things like work on proposals, like you mentioned,
That is correct. I do that.
and set up meetings.
Yes, that is also correct. I am in charge of her schedule.
So you work for the Black Bear Casino,
Yes,
and Ms. Bancroft owns the Black Bear Casino.
that is correct.
Now, you're aware that Ms. Bancroft is the defendant in today's case, correct?
Yes,
And that you're testifying on behalf of the defense.
yes.
Okay. Mr. Hyde, let's talk about some of those meetings that you set up. One of them was on March 2nd, correct? That was between you and
Officer Keenan,
Officer
yes.
Keenan. And in this meeting, Mickey Keenan made you aware that he was an undercover police officer.
That is true, yes.
And you thought it was a good idea to go along with his investigation, correct?
Well, he's a police officer. I obviously wouldn't suspect anything wrong from a police officer.
Right. So you set up more meetings.
Yes, I did.
There was another one on April 13th.
Yes, that was the second meeting, or the third meeting, rather.
Well, actually, it wasn't the third meeting, because actually you also met with Avery Bancroft and Danny Hoy on the 12th.
Well, yes, that is true. But
And-
Mickey Keenan was not present at that.
Mr. Hyde, in this meeting, you guys discussed security.
Yes, we did.
Mickey Keenan was not present at this meeting.
No, Officer Keenan was not present at this meeting.
So to be clear for the members of the jury, it was just you, Danny Hoy, and
Objection,
Ms.
Your Honor.
Bancroft.
Asked and answered. This witness has testified who was at the meeting and who was not at the meeting.
I'll give him the one to just sort of solidify things.
Yes, Your Honor. To be clear, it was just yourself, Danny Hoy, and Ms. Bancroft at this meeting.
Correct.
You mentioned that they were talking about security. Now, Ms.
Objection, Your Honor, as to what was being talked about. The hearsay.
Response.
Your Honor, this goes directly for 8033. It shows a plan. Now, in this meeting, if I may proffer,
You may.
they're going to go over the security for the next day, the April 13th meeting, and how exactly Ms. Bancroft wanted that security to be.
Okay. Response.
Your Honor, we've heard no testimony that there were statements about what they wanted or planned the security to be. Rather, all we've heard, they were talking about security. There's no evidence and no indication that this necessarily goes to any individual declarant's state of mind. And so at this point, with the foundation we have, this is hearsay that's going, the truth of the matter is certain, and there's no reason to know that it may be going to a state of mind. 8033, there's not enough foundation at this time for 8033 to be applicable.
Well, I think to some extent this is the foundation for what he sort of wants to get to. And I think knowing the topic of the conversation is not necessarily hearsay, so I'm going to hold that objection.
Yes, Your Honor.
They were going over security in this meeting.
Yes, they were going over security.
Ms. Bancroft wanted to know whether or not anything could be recorded in this April 13th meeting, correct?
I believe that was asked, yes.
And Mr. Hoy made it clear that he could do a pat-down.
Objection, Your Honor, to what Mr. Hoy, hearsay to what Mr. Hoy told Avery Bancroft and Corey Hyde.
Okay.
Your Honor, once again, due to your previous ruling, this constitutes under 8033. This shows a plan to make sure that security is tight in this meeting.
What's your response to that?
The statements here are from Mr. Hoy indicating his capabilities, not his future plan or intent to do anything, but rather what he's capable of doing. These are statements to what he's capable of doing, and so they're not going to any plan or other state of mind, and 8033 isn't applicable to Mr. Hoy's statements.
Your Honor, if I may respond. Mr. Hoy said that he could do a pat-down. Now, that's a clear sign of intent to create a plan to show that the security needs to be tight. Now, this goes directly under 8033, as it does show a plan and intent.
I'll give you the last word.
Your Honor, a statement of what he could do is in no way a plan. Now, one can state one's capabilities without having an intention to do them. An intention to do something and the capability of doing something are two separate things. So a statement of what Mr. Hoy could do isn't in any way a plan, statement of intent, or other state of mind.
It seems like they are talking about what will happen the next day. I'll leg a gang under that exception. Overruled.
Mr. Hoy, Mr. Hyde. Now, you, in this meeting, were with Avery Bancroft, right?
Yes, I was with Ava Baker.
And she made it clear that she wanted nothing to be recorded.
She was wondering if anything could be recorded, yes.
Okay. So then there was the April 13th meeting that you went to,
Yes, there was the April 13th meeting.
and you were with Ms. Bancroft, Mr. Covington, and Mickey Keenan, right?
That is correct, I was with them.
You actually weren't in this meeting the whole time, right?
No, I was not. I did have to excuse myself to go to the bathroom.
And you were gone for 2 to 3 minutes?
About that, yes.
So while you were gone, you didn't hear anything that was said in this meeting, correct?
No.
You don't know what Mickey Keenan did?
No, I do not know what Mickey Keenan did.
You don't know what Mickey Keenan said?
No, I do not know what.
You don't know what
Mickey
Avery
Keenan said.
Bancroft did?
No, I don't know what Miss Bancroft did.
And you don't know what Ms. Bancroft said?
In those 2 to 3 minutes? No, I do not.
Then there was another meeting, the April 16th one, you remember that?
Yes, I do remember that.
Let's actually back up a little bit, because before that meeting, you were with Ms. Bancroft in her office.
Yes, I was.
And she had a black briefcase.
Yes, she did.
A black briefcase that you didn't order, right?
Not that I recall, not that specific briefcase.
And she started to load what looked like $200,000 into this briefcase.
Objection, Your Honor, lack of personal knowledge. May I be heard?
You may.
This witness has no way of knowing how much money was in the briefcase. He saw money going in, but he can't testify to how much he might have thought was in there.
Your Honor, he can testify to his rationally based perception. Now, if this witness doesn't know how much money was being loaded in this briefcase, he can simply say no.
I guess that's true. Let's see what the witness's response is and sort of how far this goes, and we'll take it from there. Overruled, at least for now.
While you were with Ms. Bancroft, you saw her to begin loading what looked like $200,000, at least $200,000 into this briefcase.
Around that, she was loading stacks of cash into a briefcase.
Now, she took this briefcase with the money to that April 16th meeting, correct?
Yes, she did.
And that was the meeting to meet Chase Covington, right?
Correct.
To-
However, Covington never showed up.
Right, to talk about the proposal
Yes, to talk about the proposal.
with a briefcase full of cash.
Yes,
Chase Covington didn't show up, like you stated,
that is correct. Chase Covington never showed up.
and eventually Mickey Keenan left the room.
Yes, Mickey Keenan had to use the bathroom.
Avery Bancroft left the room after Mickey Keenan.
After saying, "I've had it with Keenan."
Okay, and Mickey Keenan then came back.
Yes,
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, that left just you and Mickey Keenan in the room, right?
yes, it did.
So, you're telling the members of the jury that Mickey Keenan was not with Avery Bancroft directly after the April 16th meeting?
No, Mickey Keenan was with me, telling me that if I didn't find Avery Bancroft, he was going to send me to jail.
Right, but they were not together directly after that April 16th meeting.
No, they were not.
And then the next day, Chase Covington voted for Avery Bancroft's proposal.
Yes, Chase Covington did vote for our proposal.
Let's talk about when that money was being loaded in the briefcase one more time. Now, you said Mickey Keenan wasn't there, right?
No, Mickey Keenan was not there.
So, Avery Bancroft, to your knowledge, was loading this money into the briefcase all by herself.
Yes,
She did it, to your knowledge, on her own volition.
as far as I know, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Hyde. I have no further questions.
Any redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor. I ask the witness be excused.